Hey guys, what is up? It's Murphy's Opinions here, and today I'm coming at you with a brand new video. And today I'm going to be going over the tracks on Revolver. I'm going to be ranking them from my least favorite to my favorite. And just before we get into this video, I just want to say I actually I don't dislike any of the tracks on this album. I think it's one of the greatest albums of all time, and this is honestly really hard to do. I think, to be honest, for me, help onwards in the Beatles period, like ranking the tracks on the album is just almost impossible. But so far I think this was definitely the hardest one to do. And I'd put Revolver up there as one of the best albums by the Beatles. Either my second or third favorite. It's between that and Sergeant Pepper as my sort of second favorite album. I know on my ranking of Beatles albums I put it at second. I some moods I'd say it's the second best. Other times I'd say I prefer Pepper, but anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the video and the song that I put at the bottom. At the bottom, I went for Dr. Robert. Um, you know, a perfectly good song. You know, it's got great guitar on it. But to be honest, I think in general, just in comparison to a lot of the other songs in terms of songwriting on the album, it's just not as strong. Yeah, and in general, it's not a song that I go back to very often, unless I'm listening to Revolver, the album as a whole, if I'm being honest. So I put Dr. Robert at number 14 at the bottom. And then at number 13, I've gone for Love You Too, which is the first of three George Harrison tracks on this album. Again, another good song. Definitely sort of an influential song in George Harrison's career because it would sort of he'd go on to write similar style songs in terms of the Indian influence. You know, songs like Within You, Without You, and The Inner Light, which I personally think are some of his best songs in the Beatles. But this one, I think, it's definitely one of his weakest efforts in the Beatles. It might be my least favourite George Harrison song in his Beatles career. I'd have to maybe think about that, but that's sort of just off the top of my head. That's kind of what I think at the minute. But again, it's still pretty good. Like the lyrics again are actually pretty good, and it's got a whole sort of the overall sound of it is very good. But I just think in terms of George using using Indian and Western influences, I think he was still finding his feet. I think so. At number 13, I've gone for Love You Too. And at number 12, I feel like maybe a lot of people would maybe put this at the bottom, or second bottom. But I have quite a lot of, and I'm sure a lot of people do have sort of a sentimental attachment to this song through their childhood, and that's Yellow Submarine. It's I can't say it's like one of the most groundbreaking songs from the Beatles' career. It's far from one of their best, but I do have a special place in my heart for this song. Simple song, but I do really enjoy it, and I can't say anything technical about how superb the song is, but it's a song that I really enjoy, and it's a big part of my childhood. So yeah, I'd go with the Yellow Submarine at number 12. And then at number 10, this is where I found it really hard, because from here on in, all these songs I think are just superb and some of the band's best stuff. But I decided to go with I Want to Tell You at number 11. As I said, I really like the guitar work on this one, and I think the harmonies are great. And to be honest, there's nothing really that bad about the song. It's just, I think, in general, Revolver is an album where there's so many outstanding tracks. But I do think this is, in general, one of the Beatles' most underrated songs, especially from a George Harrison perspective. It's one of his most underrated efforts, I think. And then after that, we have And Your Bird Can Sing, another pretty underrated one, actually. I really love the guitar work on this. It's got a great energy to it. And it's one of those songs where I feel like it's one of those ones where it always leaves you wanting more, which I always think is kind of a good thing. You'd always rather have a song leaving you wanting to, hear more of it than kind of be like, oh, I really wish the song didn't go on that long. But it's just great, and I think John's vocals are great. The harmonies are superb. But just in general, it's a great sort of mid-60s track, and I think again it's another one of the most underrated Beatles songs. So after that, we have a song that for a while I really couldn't get into it as much as a lot of other Beatles fans. But in the last sort of couple of years or so, it's really grown on me. I do think it's one of the band's best, but it's still, I guess, a lot of people would say I'm putting this too low, but I've gone for Tomorrow Never Knows. Again, superb, highly influential in terms of its production, its sound, just everything about it. It's just superb. Unlike anything they'd really done before up to this point, like it's just got such a unique sound, and I think in general, it's in terms of its production and sound, it's one of the most influential songs of the '60s. I would say. And then following that, we've got to Get You Into My Life. Superb song. I love the sort of use of trumpets on this one. Just in general, Paul's vocals are just fantastic. It's just a superb song, and it always gets you. It always gets you sort of tapping your foot along, clapping along. It's just a superb song, and it's definitely one of Paul's best vocals, I think. And then next I've gone for Good Day Sunshine. Really love this one. So simple, so upbeat. And I think also Ringo does really good drumming on this one. It doesn't really get talked about on this track, but there's some good little fills that he does on here. And overall, it's just a really, good feel-good track. Pretty, again, not outstanding lyrics in comparison to some of the other songs on this album, but I still really love this one. Next, we've got I'm Only Sleeping. Really unique sound to it. Great sort of dream-like atmosphere created from this song. Again, the harmonies are superb, and John just sounds great on this, and obviously the effects they put on his voice is just overall just a really good sort of psychedelic-esque style track. And then we've got She Said, She Said, another very underrated track on the album. Great guitar work as well, and the drum work from Ringo's superb. I did a video actually on some of Ringo's best drumming work in the Beatles, and She Said was on there. I can't remember where exactly, but it was pretty high up. It's one of those ones where, sometimes it doesn't catch you immediately when you listen to the song, the drumming, but when you actually listen to it and you probably follow what Ringo's doing, it just sounds superb, and it sounds unlike anything at the time in terms of Ringo's drumming work, and that's where I can't say, I hate it when people say that Ringo's not a good drummer, because they're obviously people who don't know the Beatles catalogue as well as, someone like, say, me, for example, and they don't know songs like this, where his drumming work is just superb. So then we're getting into this. Now we're entering the top five. With She Said, She Said was number 5. So number 4, I've gone for No One. This and another track which I'll get to in a minute. Just McCartney at his best in terms of songwriting. The French horn on it sounds incredible. Just the overall mood and tone and atmosphere is created by McCartney. Just great, sort of dark, depressing. It's just superb. And again, it's another one where you're kind of like, oh, I wish it was just a bit longer. I really want more from that song, but in a good way, because it's just so good. And number 3, I've gone for Here, There and Everywhere. Just simply beautiful. One of McCartney's best love songs, I think, in general. Great. Everything on this track just sounds so crisp and so great. Like, the guitar's so lovely and smooth. The drumming, again, it's obviously a very quiet song, so obviously it's not as if Ringo's, smashing at the kit, but it's just so subtle and so well done. As someone who plays the drums, I can really appreciate that. But again, drumming's not always about just sort of hitting the crap out of the kit. Sometimes you need to just sort of create help create a tone for the song, and Ringo does it really well on this track. Number 2, I've gone for Taxman, a song I've just always loved, to be honest. Like, just superb guitar work, a fantastic guitar solo from Paul McCartney as well, and overall it's just, again, it's in terms of lyrics, I think people sometimes forget about this song in terms of it's a great song about sort of the political situation at the time and the perception of what sort of the taxman and tax people were like at the time, and it's a superb track, and I love George's vocals on it as well. I just think and again, it's got a simple sort of guitar work to it in terms of it's just it's not as if it's not a sort of like he's sort of strumming at loads of chords and sort of you going really quickly. It's sort of the overall like guitar work. It's quite simple. It's quite just sort of it's simple but very effective, I think. And at number 1, I'm going to go for Eleanor Rigby, a song again. Loved it since as long as I can remember. Again, very different from a lot of the other tracks. Beautiful sort of use of strings on this song. Paul McCartney's vocals are great, and overall the song just tells a really sort of sad, dark, and depressing story, and it's beautifully told. And I think it's one of my favourite Beatles songs. It would definitely make my top 10, and I think in general, and I'm glad it's taken as one of their best songs, because I think it's just so superb, so brilliant. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. When I get around to doing my next Beatles album ranking, that will be Sgt. Pepper. So let me know let me know your ranking of Revolver, or your top 5 or top 10 tracks or whatever. And let me know also eventually when I do get done with the Beatles. Still be a while, I think. But I'm going to try and get through these a lot quicker now, because it's been a while since I did the last one. But let me know which artist you'd like me to do, and I'll possibly do it. I'm thinking sort of a solo Beatles, possibly. Maybe I'll start off with like George Harrison or John Lennon, because in general they don't have as many solo albums as someone like Paul per se. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a like on the video. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.